These are the stocks that are setting up for a nice big breakout right now today on December 16th. This is Wells Fargo. You see the signal after that nice setup with a nice tight stop. Here's another bank, Morgan Stanley, with this kind of a setup. Maybe this kind of a setup too. So maybe this is a signal, or if you want to be prudent, extra cautious, maybe wait for a signal up there with a nice stop. And here's a railroad, Norfolk Southern, with a nice little setup here. Much better setup. There's a picture perfect setup. There's your breakout signal. Maybe if you're extra cautious, you wait for a breakout above there. So something up in this range, and that gives you a nice tight stop. You'll notice this excellent volume here, big green days, okay? And then this trailing off on volume right here in this latest little push out, okay? That's exactly what you want to see. Picture perfect setup. Another railroad, Union Pacific. Almost the same type of a situation. Okay, and you could treat this as the breakout signal. Or if you're extra cautious, maybe you want to wait until you get some kind of a move through there. But you've got a nice tight stop. And here's another cyclical, a material, Alcoa, with a wonderful little setup right there. See that pattern? That's what all these stocks show, is that little setup pattern. And then this nice little breakout with some good big green volume. And of course you get a nice little stop. That's kind of a looser one. I'd like it to be tighter. So maybe you could put in a stop right here, but maybe that's too tight. So maybe you want to use some kind of a range in there as a stop with progressive stops down. So you average somewhere a stop out in this box. Another material stock, potash, Nutrien, it's called now, after it bought Agrium. It's got the same nice little setup. Good green volume all in here, here, okay, here, all throughout this setup pattern. And now it's trying to break out right in there, assuming it can break out, and it gives you a really nice tight stop down there. So instead of doing this, in case it does something like this, I mean, you got to stop out right there and you avoid something like that. And now we've got an oil stock here, an energy, ConocoPhillips. You've got some kind of more difficult setup here because you got this higher base here, but this was kind of your big setup and breakout right in there. But now I'm looking for this maybe to try and do one of these. Not as good of a setup, but it still gives you a really nice identifiable stop. And lastly, we've got ExxonMobil with that base, and then this kind of a setup right here. Really nice looking setup. Volume leaves something to be desired. Don't like this big red volume here, and the green days are much lower volume than the red days. So again, leaves something to be desired, but still a really good setup, just so long as we get a signal up here, okay? Not getting the signal yet. So we're looking out for a signal somewhere in here, or if you're more conservative and want to be safer, you're going to look for a signal that does something like this, okay, and breaks through there, all right? In which case, you'd be a buyer right in there. Of course, with some kind of a stop, maybe on Exxon you could use it below 60. That's what I'd do. I like this thing above 60. Below 60, I mean, you want no part of this stock, really. If it keeps closing over 60, it's good, but below 60, who knows where it could go. I mean, maybe this trend line actually means something. This blue one here from way back, and this thing could maybe come down here before it does a little bit of a bounce, you know? So below 60, you got to watch out. So all these stocks are showing good setups, and the reason is they have this saucer type formation base and then a little down drift in price before ultimately going up. And the key to all of this is, where you place your stop. That is really the most important part. Identifying these setups and the signals are easy. Placing your stop is the most important part of the trade. And you got to know where you're placing this before you ever buy.